Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, aka the M3 Podcast. Brought to you by Moss Marketing Group, bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Stay tuned for marketing tips and tricks you can use today. The M3 Podcast, marketing knowledge to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the M3 Podcast. This week, we got two from the MMG squad, Dre and Ricky, our guest, Adam Tobias. Thank you for being on.
Happy to be here, buddy.
So, Adam and I have been, Ricky's already popping drinks.
Already popping LaCroix.
We've been on for 30 seconds. Adam and I have been friends for quite a while now. That was started back in the TDR days, so I'm trying to do the math here. What are we talking, like 5 years, 6 years?
Six,
seven?
whatever.
Oh, a long time.
It's been a while.
It's been a little while.
He knew you when you were born.
Yeah. So we've been friends for quite a while, and it's crazy how our paths have stayed together for as long, pretty much the whole entire time since we met.
Yep.
And you have a car dealership background now, but let's start at the beginning of Adam's story. So where does it all begin? Where did you go to high school at?
High school. Okay, so I went to Burlington High School, which is a suburb of Boston, outside of Boston, about 15 minutes outside of Boston.
Okay.
Yep.
So you go to high school in a suburb outside of Boston. How long were you in that area?
Till I was 18, went to college.
Where'd you go off to college to?
Penn State.
Okay.
Yep.
So what did college look like going to Penn State?
You know, it was the furthest place away from my house that accepted me. So that's why I went there. But it was great. I mean, if you're into sports and big time football and not being close to family, yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect.
What'd you go to college for?
Initially, I went for finance, but that was a little too hard. Took a little bit too much time in school or in class, so I switched to marketing. I was able to graduate with a pretty good GPA in marketing, get through that.
That's the easy degree everyone wants.
That was it. That was it. So you learn, I mean, you know, obviously you're going to learn some good things doing that and through those classes, but yeah, that's what I finished with.
So Adam at that time in college, what was the grand plan? What was the vision that you had at that point once you got out?
You know, it's funny. So I always thought, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go work in an advertising agency because that's what I'm doing, right? That seems fun. Seeing all these guys going out there and seeing all, commercials being made and all these big shots going out there with all their executives and doing all these cool things. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And then that didn't happen. So pretty much went back into the car business pretty quick after I graduated.
When you say go back into it, were you doing that during college?
What's that? Selling cars?
Yeah.
Yes. During the summers.
I think that was just an OG job.
It was. Well, you can make enough money during the summer to last all the college.
That's if you didn't spend it.
Well, no, you could spend it, but I mean,
You can spend it all in 3 months. Like someone at the end of the table over there made more money than he's ever had. And then at the end of summer comes up to me. He's like, hey man, can I borrow $50? I'm like, I know what I make and I know what you made. I'm like, there ain't no way you blew through that. And you're about to tell dad that you blew through all that money before you're going back to school.
well, you had to be on the meal plan though.
What?
You had to have the meal plan. So I got the meal plan paid for. I had a credit card that I could buy groceries with. So realistically, it was only beer money.
For some, I was pretty good at always coming up with a way to make money while I was in school to figure out how to buy beer. But yeah, it was a whole different beast on selling cars in college. I feel like I learned more life skills selling cars while I was in college than what college actually taught me. And dealing with people and learning rejection that I think a lot of people never experience.
Oh, yeah.
At a high volume all the time and learning all that. So you get out of college, you want to get into marketing, you end up back in the car business. Was that just selling cars?
No, I actually got into corporate. So I was in the wholesale side working for Honda corporate. So I started as like an analyst and then became a district manager, and that's what brought me out here to Kansas City. Was being a district manager for Honda way back 15 years ago.
He's aging himself. On
I
the
know.
podcast right now.
I know. It's been a long time.
So when you first got back into it and you start with Honda, was that out of Boston?
It's DC. So that's when, as soon as I graduated, I was at home for a couple months, and then I moved to DC, and that was it. Then I haven't been back since.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
what year did you come to Kansas City? Or time?
That was a while
There-
back. Yeah.
there
I think maybe I was 26-ish.
Okay. So you moved to
Six.
Kansas City,
Mhm.
working for Honda. Did you feel like you were making it in something that you wanted to do, or was it something that still just didn't feel right? Like, I know that when we speak and we go over everything, there's just like a vast amount of knowledge from like high level business on like finance. Like, if you had told me you had a finance degree, I've been like, bet, like, makes sense.
Right.
And I think out of all the times we've talked, I didn't know what degree you actually had.
Yeah.
And Adam brings a marketing degree into the MMG office.
How about that?
I know. How
Is
about
it the first one?
I think Dre down there might have fun.
I got that with a minor in entrepreneurship.
Very nice, Drew.
Thank you. Thank you.
We do have a hefty stack of geology degrees. So,
Solid.
yeah, literally. Solid.
Literally. Solid.
So, you moved to Kansas City. What does that look like when you arrive here?
I thought corporate job was everything. You wanted to be, okay, I'm just going to work with this one company for the rest of my life, retire, and that'll be it. But it was boring, to be honest with you. Because, I mean, you're dealing with dealers all the time and managers, and you're like, well, how are these guys this successful? So I stayed in the Honda track for 4 or 5 years and they had moved me to Phoenix as a rep and realized, I think I should probably get into that marketing thing. So that's when I joined an ad agency to handle their automotive marketing and deal with their clients. That was terrible. It just wasn't what you expected. It's tough. It's tough being in that business and dealing with clients every day and them expecting, huge results based off of minor budgets.
Yeah. And I think that is a crazy thing that I think most people, when they look at the marketing space as a whole, all they see are these big, huge, shiny objects of these monster agencies that are out there. That there's going to be thousands of smaller agencies to that one monster agency that everyone dreams of being.
Right.
And there's all these, I'm going to call them mom and pop like people. And I think it's getting even worse in today's time.
Mm-hmm.
And more people are getting into marketing that I want to say just aren't qualified and they don't understand business. I think understanding business is the first key to understanding marketing.
I mean, everybody thinks they can place a Facebook ad. And I'm an advertiser.
Yeah.
I know how to do marketing. It's easy.
There's a lot of people I feel like are just glorified posters now.
Yeah.
So it's like, you need to have a marketing strategy. You need to go over seeing what your audiences are when you're running ads, who they're targeted to, and what that messaging needs to look like over time. What is your long-term goal? Like, what are these KPIs that you're going to hit over time? And I just don't think that's being done. And also, we very much see that the content side is being missed. And there's a lot that goes into, we can have podcasts for hours on marketing, but you end up moving out to Phoenix. You get on with an ad agency.
Yes.
So what did that look like, you voyaging into the marketing space?
So we were automotive focused ad agency. And we handled a lot of the car dealer groups. So like when you see, Chevy dealers of Kansas City or Honda dealers of Kansas City, there's agencies behind that handle all of that creative and marketing for those groups, for those dealers. And so we did a lot of that for Honda dealers throughout the country. And, the amount of work that goes behind just creating an ad. I couldn't believe. The amount of people that have to be involved to do it, I couldn't believe. The amount of people just to even pitch an account, I couldn't believe. I mean, it was, you're working till midnight every night just to land another account, with the media buyers and the creatives and then the account people and then the owner. I mean, everybody's involved trying to put these pitches together. It was insane. I couldn't believe it. So I was at one agency, and then another competing agency in Phoenix asked me to come work for them, and they handled all of Hyundai's stuff throughout the country. And they wanted, I was brought in as one of their VPs to handle all of the accounts, all of the Hyundai groups that were throughout the country. And I don't know, man, it's just, you learn a lot about what it takes to actually get something into production and to create an ad. Like that was the biggest eye-opening thing for me when it goes down to, okay, here, what's the script? Well, we need a script for the ad. Oh yeah, you need a script for the ad. Okay, well, it's being written up. It's too long. Well, how's it too long? Well, it can only be 28 seconds. There's too much copy. Well, what do we remove? It has to have this. It has to have that. And then the script goes into production, and now we're creating the ad around the script, and you've got editors, working bell to bell just to put a 30-second spot together. And then just imagine doing that for, 30 different dealer groups in 30 different cities throughout the country. All of them are wanting something different.
Ricky's like, oh, I feel this way too much over here.
Yeah.
It kind of hits home, except without the huge team.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably doing a lot of it by yourself, some of it at least.
We typically, it's collaborative throughout the office, but yeah, obviously a much smaller scale than all that. But
yeah, I mean, I won't admit it to them, but I will say it is you probably have the most difficult job at the agency.
Easy.
Yeah. It's tough, man.
There's a lot that goes into it.
There is, absolutely. I mean, that's the most important thing too, is that, if the spots don't look good, if they're not flowing, if they're not done correctly, you can tell.
I think that's what a lot of people just miss in marketing now is I feel that it happened in the last, I'm going to say like 5 to 10 years. It was like a graphic design boom.
Mm-hmm.
That overnight it was like everything went to these graphics, like it went to volume.
Yeah.
And it went like the marketing space shifted. And it came from the TV and the radio, and all of what was working over here started slowing down. Social media was coming into play, and they thought they can just wrap out graphics as fast as they can.
Right.
And that graphic space just dropped off the map. And the crazy thing is there's people still doing that same thing and thinking that it's like, and it's doing nothing, and they can't figure out what's wrong.
Right.
And it is crazy when we bring a volume of video to the space that we're doing that one ad that you're looking at doing, and we're doing 10 to 15 of them per company per month. And it's like when you start doing them at that level, but the great thing is like we have new tools in place to help us. Like we have AI now that can write things that replace having those. You can put it in AI and get 5 different versions. Like you had 5 different editors that were in office working all day on ad copy, and you can have it in less than 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like pieces of that like you have to be able to use the tools that you're given. And there's new tools in the space that help us out so much with those things. But I don't think people focus on that. And you guys probably had huge budgets too to go after a lot of this stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars a month for each group, and plus the media spend. Yeah, I mean, it definitely adds up, but you still, you talked about, you brought up the AI, you still, I believe still need that human touch. And that was a lot of the capital that was invested was the people, that were
100%.
There.
Which I think AI to a point helps, but AI also very much is what goes into it.
Sure. Yeah.
It's only as good as the person using it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can put 3 different people on an AI program, and one person will use it really well and the other people can never get what they're looking for out of it. And it's also, sometimes that just works as a good structure outline to start with. It helps with a lot of that time. And the AI can't replace the person out on a camera though.
Nope.
It can't fix that spot, which that requires so much talent in its own to make sure you're getting the correct shots, make sure that video flows, make sure that is something that attention span in today's world is more valuable than money.
Oh, without question.
Is the most valuable thing that's out there. And we talk about with the podcast, like we're getting close to like this becoming something that's monetized. But we have all these people that are listening to this podcast week over week that we're capturing for an hour plus of time. We're not competing against social platforms anymore. We're now competing against Netflix. We're competing against Amazon Prime. Like you have a whole different line of competitors now because you're trying to get somebody to listen or watch this over watching an episode of TV. So it's a whole different plan on like what it is that you're putting out there. And I think that's where the marketing space has been so vastly different and it changes so quickly and people aren't adapting with it. But it's like we had a big commercial account and one of the ladies was the head of marketing for Nitto Tires before. And they did a commercial in Miami and she said they had a $240,000 budget for a 20-second commercial. And I was just like, that was no media buy, nothing afterwards. That was just to get the commercial. They closed down like half the streets in Miami for this. And
sounds like we're in the wrong area.
It sounds like it was probably fun at least.
It did sound fun.
Yeah, it did fun. Yeah, not bad.
And it definitely is something that I think the Midwest is behind.
Well, I think those bigger budget commercials are kind of going away regardless of what company it is, though.
I think they're getting more and more scarce, but I think there's still a space for it. But the other thing, too, is I think media buy and just marketing in general, the Midwest is behind in so many areas. And you look at a company that opens in LA, a company that opens up in Miami, a company that opens up in New York. Most of them have full marketing plans before a door ever opens. They have a full outline, everything, what cost per acquisition should look like, what scale looks like. They have a map of everything. The Midwest, people open up doors and they're like,
where's everybody?
Where are they at? They told me this was a good spot. It's a good spot over here.
Well, they posted on their Facebook account.
Yeah, with no followers.
That's right.
Created a Facebook post that same day saying we're open.
We're open.
Like,
Yeah.
the floodgates have opened.
But it's like you start seeing like really successful companies, they're starting social pages 3, 4, 6 months before they ever open a door. They start building the hype. They start putting all this work in before, and they're spending money. But that's the difference between great entrepreneurs and people that fail in the entrepreneurship is if they're willing to spend the money.
Well, wouldn't you want to have the fans before you even open? Wouldn't that help?
That makes sense. It doesn't.
Right?
I don't think it sounds crazy when we're saying it here, does it?
It's like be ready to go before we open. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you're gonna
No, open and then you build the building. We're gonna open, start selling hot dogs, but we're gonna build the building while we're selling them.
Right. And we're here.
Yes.
Come find us.
Yes.
Come find us.
So I definitely think that's always a little bit of it makes, I feel like common sense wise, that doesn't seem crazy. But so you're working agency in Phoenix. What does it look like? How long were you with the second agency with Hyundai?
It was a short time, maybe 8 to 9 months. And then just got the retail itch to go back into the dealership. And
Car business is a black hole, bro.
I know.
Sucks you back in.
It does.
I know. Like, come work here. You'll love it.
Oh my God, we're right here.
You're right here. It's going to be the best. It's going to be the best.
I know you didn't have a good experience last time, but this time's different.
That's right. Well, you know, I mean, those owners are pretty good salespeople. So they lay
They
it
didn't
on
get to
pretty
that
good.
spot by accident.
No, they lay it on pretty good. They're like, hey, we really need your help. You're going to be great. You're going to make more money than you've ever made. And you're like, okay, let's do it. But it was good because you know I got into a different dealership. It was a different brand. It was a Chevy compared to the imports, and learned a lot. I was there for for just over 3.5 years until, my wife wanted to move back home, which is here in Kansas City. So that was it.
So let's ride.
We're done. Yeah. She thought it'd be a good idea to move while 8 months pregnant. Yeah.
This seems like an awesome idea.
Yeah. During Thanksgiving. So, it was a little cold.
If people don't know, Adam doesn't like the cold.
No, not at all. Not at all. No, I will not retire. It will not be anywhere cold.
I'm surprised she got you back out of Arizona. That's probably your area.
Oh, I loved it, man. I loved it. Yes. There's no rain. It's dry. But it's 125 degrees. It's better than 0. It's better than 0 degrees.
I like cold weather, actually.
I'm out.
Big fan.
Not a fan.
No way.
No.
Looks like you guys are all together. I'm over here by myself.
We will come to Arizona with you.
It's so much better. It's so nice. And in December, it's 75 degrees.
It's not here.
No, it's not. You have snow and ice and all that. None of that stuff there.
So I always feel like when it's really cold out and I'm getting up early, I'm getting out, I'm doing things and there's not a lot of people out, I feel like I'm really stepping forward and doing a lot. I feel motivated on those days.
I think I'd be more motivated stepping outside when it's 75 and being like, oh yeah,
It's just like another day.
it's a beautiful day to kick some ass.
Right.
It's a beautiful day to kick some ass when you go outside snowing, and guess what? You got a lot less competition out in the world.
Yeah, but it's a lot easier to work when it's cold, because when it's nice out, you just want to be outside and not do anything. Just hang out. But, when it's cold, you got nothing else to do. You better be inside.
Yeah, but I think most people that are hanging out inside on a cold day aren't working.
We're not hanging out. You got to be working inside. But when it's in Arizona, it's nice, man. December.
I'm talking like when people get like snow days, I feel like people are hanging out at home, and I'm like, those are the best days to work. Like, you're really getting a leg up.
Yeah.
Outworking the next guy. People in Arizona, they're probably still working because it's 75 all the time.
When it's a snow day with kids, you don't have an opportunity to work. That doesn't happen.
That does change things.
When they're home from school, yeah, no.
Another leg up, or we got
We live where it's cold and we don't have any kids.
No, man. There you go. You get more work done during snow days.
Of course.
That's right.
That's why we're gonna win.
That's it.
That's our new tagline. No kids, we work when it snows. That's why we drive all the trucks. So you come back to Kansas City, you come back to the cold.
Mm-hmm.
What happened when you got back to KC?
I asked myself, why? Why am I here? No,
He looked in the mirror. He was asking himself why. I was just going back and forth.
what am I doing?
Yeah.
Wait a second.
He went to buy a jacket.
Yeah, did I really think this through? So I went, got into another retail job just as soon as I could. Because I didn't really know that many people out here when we moved back. Obviously, I'm not from here, and so it was just kind of one of those things where there was an opportunity to be a used car director at a big dealer group here in town. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. And I was there for a fair amount of 3.5 years. Kind of seems to be the same time frame for everything for me. But yeah, and then during that time, there's a friend of mine who I was playing tennis with, and he wrote a computer program that was automotive focused, and he didn't have any background in automotive. So he asked me to help kind of put that together for him, and build it with him while I was working. And, we finally got to the point where, raise enough money where I could leave that job and work full time at this company and grow it and, hopefully turn it into something. I think when I finally got the opportunity to start something of my own, that kind of lit a fuse that I didn't even know was there, because it was the most fun that I had. Just building something and learning and figuring out what you have to do to be successful, making mistakes, learning from those mistakes, and moving forward. I was only there for, it was about 5.5 years, and, we finally decided to finish it and move on. But it was great, and learned so much about what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be moving forward. It kind of changed the direction that I was going in, from a career standpoint.
Yeah, I think definitely is when you go out and you start building something, we talk about it at the office all the time. And I mean, we live and die by progression creates happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times people get so stagnant in life. And I think I know a lot of people in high level corporate jobs, and it's like, they think that I have all this stress on my shoulders. And it's like, I take on all this stress to do what we do, but it's also, I guarantee you I have 10 times the amount of fun. Like, I go to work every day to learn something new, to overcome something. And it's like, they have made to a spot, they're going to do the same thing till the day they retire. And it's like, that's just not what I want to sign up for. And it's like, I feel like when that happens, people are like, they're looking for the next thing. And I see a lot of times it causes problems with relationships. It causes problems because everyone's looking for a new thing somewhere.
Well, you try to fill another void because you're bored. You're bored.
Yeah.
You know, at least I got bored, you know, in the corporate deal. And you're just like, well, what else am I going to do? And it causes stress on everything else because if you're not satisfied at work, you know, where you're spending a third of your, you know, your life or a third of your day, whatever you want to look at it. You've got to fill that somehow. You know, and so the best thing for me was being able to actually use my brain and be creative and have that opportunity to do my own deal. Whether if it had failed or, you know, that it succeeded, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
And I think people like to use that part of their head on learning how to solve problems. And I feel like it's just like as a kid, when you started learning math, you learned simple math and you could get onto more advanced math, and it like always progressed. And it's the same thing in business. You figure out the simple problems in the beginning. I look back now at 3+ years ago when we started this, the things that I was looking at that were I feel like we're going to cripple my world. I'm like, how is that really that big of a problem that I even looked at it that way? That it's these things, you get to just larger and larger problems, but it's after you've done everything to get to that point, you feel like you can take anything on.
Absolutely.
Like, and that's what I think is so cool about like building something. And that's where I have people all the time like, what's the end game? I'm like, I want to drive this as far as it goes. Like, I don't want a spot that it stops.
Why do you have to put an end to it?
I don't know why everyone wants to think there has to be an end. Like, everyone wants to put an end on everything.
Right.
And it's one day if I build it so big that I'll know where the end point is. If I say I've put in my work or whatever, and I want to endeavor into something else, and that's when I know what it is. But it's like, until then, I'm going to drive forward as fast as I can, doing everything that I possibly can. But it's like, I have became so comfortable in being uncomfortable, which I think that's what a lot of people struggle with, is like doing that one thing might be a little bit uncomfortable. And I think getting into business, being an entrepreneur, doing anything on your own, most people aren't willing to take that bet on themselves.
Well, it's scary.
It is. It's an uncomfortable thing to do, but it's like, it's the most exhilarating thing to do.
Absolutely. You know, it's, yeah, I was nervous a little bit, but at the same time, I just wanted that chance, you know, and I think you get to a point in your life, you're like, I just need to do it. I just need to do it. Because you don't want to have a what if. Well, what if I had done it? What would have happened? Just do it. You know, go for that opportunity and take that risk and have fun with it. I mean, the worst thing that's going to happen is it fails.
And you know what's going to happen if you stay in that corporate job.
Absolutely.
You can see that exact path all the way through.
Absolutely. You'll be there for 25 years. You'll get a plaque saying thank you for your service when you retire. You'll have a little pension, maybe a little 401k, and that'll be it.
And I'm not saying that's the wrong way to live. There's a lot of people that do that. And sometimes I'm a little jealous of them on certain days. But it's also, you talk about those like what ifs. When I was in the car business, like my car business looked a little bit different than you have, a little bit more luxuries than I had. But it was something that I looked at that path was guaranteed finance wise and what most people look for comfort in. What was also guaranteed on that same path was Mass and I were not going to stay together. She deserves a life way better than what I could give her being in that position. And the first, I don't know, 2 to 3 years that we had our house, the neighbors thought Madison had random guys over all the time because there was different cars in the driveway all the time and they didn't know I existed. I was gone before everyone in the neighborhood woke up, and I showed up after everyone was asleep every night. Like, that is not a way to live a life.
That's the car industry, right?
It's not all the time. Like,
first in, last out.
Doesn't have to be, though.
It doesn't have to be. And that's what I have seen other people that, like, Adam has a good schedule. Like, I look at if I had something like Adam's car business, it would have been probably a little bit different scenario. Like, I had to sit in the mirror and look at myself and decide what I was going to choose in life. And it was something that was really, really, really difficult to do because I'm sitting there, I'm like, I did have a safety net. Like, dad owned the dealership, like, brother's working right next to me. I'm like, there was no recipe for failure there. It was a guaranteed, like, they'd already went through all the hardships. They'd built it up to what it was. We just had to keep it driving now. We were sitting in the driver's seat at 70 miles an hour, and hey, if you can get it to 80, like, that's great. But if not, we just ride right here.
Yep.
Like, but it's getting that thing moving is where the hard part's at. And when I was stepping away, it was like, I'm stepping away to go build a life that I know I was meant to have.
Sure.
So but you go voyage into waters that you have no earthly idea how to navigate. And you're taking on things. I'm like, there's a lot of long nights in the early days. I'm like, I have no earthly idea what I'm doing. Like, I've made a big mistake.
Hey man, I remember when you came up and you bought that truck from us, or it was Madison's Yukon.
Yeah.
And you're like, I think I'm leaving. What do you mean leaving? I'm gonna do this deal. I said, okay, what are you gonna do? I don't know, but it's gonna be what I'm gonna take on what I did at TDR, and I'm gonna do it for other people. And I remember seeing that the joy in your face when you were telling me about it. I was like, all right, cool, come up and we'll just do it for us too, right? And I don't know if there was so much joy in Madison's face at that time, but I think you were fortunate enough that she was supporting it, and I think she was cautiously optimistic. Maybe.
I think she was probably the one person in the beginning. I take that back. I had a few people. I had our friends Amber Boyan, like Dre. I had people in my corner that Madison, when I started this, like when I left the dealership, like I left not knowing what I was going to do.
Oh yeah.
And people were like, you left a like really high paying job right in the like start of COVID and had zero clue of what to do.
Working with your family.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I feel like that doesn't happen. And everyone is like on my case about what I'm going to do. I'm like, I think I'm going to do a marketing company. And I asked Madison, and we had long talks about it. And she literally looked at me and she goes, I know you well enough. She goes, anything you want to do. And she goes, if you put your mind to it, she goes, you'll be crazy successful at it. She goes, that's all I know. So she goes, pick whatever you want to do and go do it. So I was like, I didn't fear going into things. Like the only person that ever created any doubt in what I was going to do was myself. The people I take that back. My close group believed in me more in the beginning than I did. Like for myself. And after we got rolling and I started overcoming these things, I'm like, okay, now I see why I was meant to do this.
Yeah.
And it was also after you start acquiring more people, the vision changes. And after a business starts scaling, it's not so much about you anymore. It's about doing right by everyone around you. So it's crazy how that whole thing just kind of shifts and changes so fast. But it's been fun. And so you're with another let's finish on.
I feel like we just skipped over the software.
I know. Let's finish on that.
You-
like the software.
You finally jumped out of the car industry. Like, you know what? I'm done.
It was automotive software. It was car dealers.
But it was still software, which is like, I feel like a completely different beast.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it was, you're creating a product that's going up against a behemoth, and you're like, oh, ours is better, of course, because it's ours. Like, theirs is bad, ours is good. Why are you using theirs? You should be using ours. And you're selling to dealers, and it's tough. I mean, we started in an office with a door with no windows. Couldn't even see out the door.
Some call that a basement.
It was not a basement. It was not a basement. It could fit 3 desks in there. In that one, it was a room. It was a room. But that was our first office, and we were just grinding. We were calling on dealers to demo our products. I mean, we were working. At night, I was doing the minimal amount of software development that I was taught how to do with like an at command and a equal sign, basically, trying to clean up the data. And we just kept going. And, eventually we moved into a bigger office, and then eventually had more people that came in and more people that wanted to join us. And, we're starting to hum, and, you get to the point where there's just so many things you get involved. I mean, raising money, trying to figure out who our clients are and what they want, trying to even just figure out what the price of the product is. I mean, you just don't know. There's so many things that are going on that you're like, oh, will you pay this monthly? Well, no. Well, how about this? Well, yes. Okay, well, then we'll charge you this. We didn't know. And creating relationships throughout the country with different companies saying, yeah, we want to help you. And, we think that, you guys have a good idea. We think that you guys can get out there and make a difference and, effectively go after these other companies that are out there. But, you're like, great, you guys are going to help us. You're going to do all these things. And then you ask them to help, and it's, well, we really have some other projects that we're trying to get off the ground at our company as well. So you realize that, it's the group of people that are within the company that are really the ones that are going to make your company successful. Relying on these other relationships just didn't work for us. And, but we just kept going, and we just kept going, and we'd pick up a client, and then we'd pick up another one. And then, we grew to, 100 clients within our first year and a half, that were paying us monthly subscription.
How did that work from going from essentially nothing to 100?
Cold calls. We would pick a state, and we would have a list of every dealers, and we would call them and say, hey, this is what we do. Do you want to take a look? And we would get, no, don't ever call me again. I will never use your product. I've never heard of you. Leave us alone. I mean, 100 different no's. You're just like, okay, well, we're going to call the next guy. Okay, good luck. And that was it. And we would just call the next guy. Hey, this is who we are. I know you've never heard of us. Do you want to take a look at our product? This is what it does. Do you need help with that? And you'd get a yes every once in a while. And
How was that first yes? Because I know you were.
I still remember the first client that paid us.
The first client?
Yeah. Yep.
How was that feeling?
Beckman Motors in Garnett, Kansas. It was the first client that ever paid us. They're no longer in business. They sold their dealership to another dealer group, but they were the first ones that actually gave us money, that wrote us a check for our software on a monthly basis. They'll never forget it.
Was that when you're like, I think we have some?
No.
No.
Nope. No. I just think. If you're gonna at where we were, you just eventually someone's gonna say yes. because they like you, and the product at that point was it wasn't great. It was usable, but it wasn't great. But for them, it helped it did what they needed it to do. So, but we went from 1 to 3 to 5, it took us months to get really going, to get that lift off. It took us a while.
So you get that first dealer, and this is where I think a lot of times in business, you say you had a product. I think there's a difference between having a great product and just having a product. And you started off with a product, and once you got that first yes, you think you over like, they're just going to come flooding in now.
Oh yeah, of course.
Then all of a sudden, in return, what you actually get, you start figuring out all the problems that you have with your product. You're like, okay, now I need to change this. Now I need to change this. And then all of a sudden, what was divvied up over here now is like right back to product building.
Well, it's like, we had a couple of a couple of dealers that would use it. We gave it to them for free. Like, okay, it's free. Use it. Tell us what you want. Well, if it's free, they don't use it. They just don't. And so when we finally got those, 3 or 4 clients that were paying us, they're like, this is shit.
Free people said it was great.
Right. But you could actually see, we're like, hey, you guys are supposed to be testing this out for us and telling us what's wrong. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'll hop in tomorrow. I'll mess around with it. But they wouldn't,
My dad and I had a lot of fights over that.
I bet.
Because he's like, you need to use this. And he would sit there and he would book everything out in the beginning. In theory, what it did was I liked the idea. But there's also, when you go to an auction and you're buying cars, there's a price that cars actually sell for. So I would be like going over these numbers and I'm like looking at everything. And my dad's like, well, this says you need to buy this car at this. I go, Dad, if you find one of those in the country, buy it. I go, just do it. Don't even think about it. I'm like, he's writing out these sheets and he's giving them to me. He's like, why'd you pay more for this car at the sale than what this said? I'm like, because somebody was willing to pay $100 less than me. That's why. It's an auction. I go, those numbers aren't real. I was like, in theory, I like what it's doing. And we would sit there and just butt heads and argue. And I'm like, how about you come to the sale and try to buy with that sheet?
Your dad loved us though.
Oh, I didn't. I liked you guys. And it was like, and it was always, we had productive conversations about it.
Yeah. We, as a group, like, the people at the company were a lot smarter than the product was. You know what I mean? Like we would have the conversations and they'd be like, oh, okay, is that translating to the product? Well, not yet, but it's gonna. Well, how long? 2 weeks. That's the answer we gave everybody. Well, how long until this feature is gonna be ready? 2 weeks. Well, oh, really? So, 4 weeks later, hey, is this feature? Oh no, it's another 2 weeks.
2 more weeks.
It's always 2 weeks.
So
It's still learning.
It's 2 weeks. Oh, we're in testing. That was a really good excuse that we used. It's in testing. It's not ready to roll out yet. We're just not confident with this function yet. And we wouldn't want to affect your business. So that's why we're not rolling it out.
Well, that was like when you looked at it, like this software was pulling numbers on cars. Like, and that is a crucial point of, that's what makes and breaks dealerships.
Right.
To where I didn't have the ability to go to a sale one day and just not buy anything and come back and be like, hey, you know what? The numbers I got just didn't quite cut it. And there are certain numbers that you can run off, things like that, which I ran off of like hard numbers, but I just think somewhere in like the marketplace data pulling or something, it was like, which I don't even want to know how to program.
It definitely told you where to buy it at.
It did.
Yeah. And if you could buy it at that, you're going to make money.
Yeah. Cause you could sell it for what we said you should sell it for.
Yeah.
Because nobody else could sell it at that price.
Like, you should actually buy it like $5,000 lower than MMR, and then you should list it less than auction pricing, and you're going to kill it.
It was all about a 30-day term, right? You want to get it and sell it as fast as possible. And that's what the strategy that we discussed with you was, hey, if you can buy it at this price, you're going to sell it faster than anybody.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
I will say we did.
So dad said, yeah, we're getting it. Dang, you're only using this.
We did have a vehicle that it was this Mercedes that sat in our showroom.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the cheapest one in the country.
Yeah.
We had more phone calls asking what was wrong with it because we were like $6,000 less than anyone else. And we're like, we just got a good deal on it.
I had it ifed at the sale, and I think that somebody needed room on a floor or something. It wasn't like it just popped up, and I'm like, And then all of a sudden I'm like, I bought something with a problem. I was like, that's way too cheap.
And it's a Mercedes. It's
Yeah.
I don't know if our techs are going to be working on Mercedes.
Yeah, you probably went the right.
It was like
Right
super
area.
low mileage.
Sure.
And then we had it on the showroom, and everyone just kept calling things that something was wrong with it. Something's wrong with it. Something's wrong with it. We couldn't sell it. And then one day we just came in, and I was like, how about we just up it by $4,000? Literally the next day somebody calls me like, yeah, I'll come pick it up this afternoon. I was like,
They're like, you were $1,500 cheaper.
yeah.
I'm like,
We were just $6,000 cheaper.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted
I was
it.
like, all right, cool.
Yeah. Can't win in the car space.
Hey, sometimes if you're too low, they just think something's wrong.
Hey,
Yeah.
man, just trust the software. The software will tell you, right?
So do you
Don't
like,
use your gut. Just the software. Just follow the numbers, man.
so I feel like you're very like data driven, software, marketing. Where do you see like all those fitting together in today's world?
I think you can. The numbers are numbers, right? I mean, you can look at a car and you can actually see, like, okay, if I get enough eyeballs in this car, it will sell. It will sell. And so when you're looking at marketing, like, okay, what for me, at least at my store, is like, how am I going to get as many people to see this vehicle as possible? And what's the best way to do that, right? And so if I can get enough people to see the car, I know I'm going to sell it. So that's what we try to focus on. Now, if you're going to get people to look at the car, and I'm just, basing it on cars. I mean, it's with anything. If it doesn't look good, if you haven't done a good job making it stand out, if the copy or description, as you want to call it, is not doesn't catch the reader's eye, if the pictures are blurry, if they're not centered, if they look like the car is not clean. I mean, there's 100 different things that can go wrong with just that one small presentation with that car. It doesn't matter how many eyeballs you're going to get on it, it's going to fail, right? So you've got to make sure that, I need to get 100 people to look at this car, but I also need to make sure that it looks great and that the message that we're conveying to the people who are looking at this vehicle is on point. And I look at a lot of our competitors, and like they're like, oh well, we're the cheapest, and we give this away, and we're all this, and they don't sell as many cars as we do. They don't make as much money as we do, and it's because they don't put any effort behind the marketing aspect of it, which is the presentation. And if you're not presenting the vehicle in a light, and you're not doing your best to make it stand out, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
I think also in today's space, so many people get into business just a race to the bottom. I think that is something that's like that the car business is probably the worst space at, is everyone wants to race to the bottom. But a lot of times we took a whole different approach in the car space, that I would have stuff that was lifted, wheel and tired, that was more expensive than anything else around. But we sold on value of why you came to us. Mm-hmm. And it was that we weren't the same as every other dealership, that we were in jeans and cowboy boots, and we were like, the market that we owned really well. And I think a race to the bottom in everything, business owners in general across all platforms have become weaker at selling value in what they do. And it's like, I tell people the first point that I have when having a conversation, anything, is that we're not the cheapest. I never want to be the cheapest guy. Like, we're not competing on the cheapest work. We have way more value we bring to the table. And I think car dealers miss that a lot of times, is what does it look like after the sale? That's what people are most fearful of, is buying a car and then what happens afterwards.
Absolutely.
Like, people are fearful of buying a car, something happening, and then somebody not being there for them. If you fix that problem, that's why referrals are so great in the car business. And most time you get referrals from someone you sold a car to and you helped them out after they bought. Those are the most loyal customers you'll ever have. And they will send people to you all the time.
So I think that's the one of the things that a lot of dealers don't do, and that we hear about is, oh man, the last time I bought a car, I had this issue, and they basically wouldn't even answer the phone. Any customer that has an issue, I talk to. Any customer in our store, whether it's a service issue or a sales issue, I talk to them because I want them to know that we actually do care, and I care as a person. Like I am not going to represent a company or a product that is going to abandon the people that are there to support them. And you know, a lot of businesses, it doesn't matter if it's a car business, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, insurance or real estate or marketing or any vendor that you deal with, the after the sale process is the biggest issue that, you know, people are seeing right now and feeling. I mean, I know, you know, we just built a house, and our builder, you know, after, and the sale is just a nightmare. You know, there's no, hey, we understand you're having an issue with it. We'll be over here, you know, tomorrow to get it fixed. It's now, oh, well, we messed up on the bill, so you owe us more money. Wait a second. That's not how it works. If you're selling a car, you can't say, hey, you know what? We didn't charge you enough. You're going to give it. Can you pay us more? Right? Like, hey, you know what?
You ought to try that, see how that works.
Yeah. You know what? Hey, you know, I know we agreed to spend, you know, $10,000 a month in advertising. We actually spent, you know, more. Can you pay us more? That's not how it works.
You know, the crazy thing in advertising, that shit does happen. And you get into a contract, and this is what I thought was so messed up a lot of times. And I dealt with it all the time with Ricky's making all kinds of ruckus.
The thing drooped on you.
Run into it all the time where, like, banners on cars. Like,
right.
If anyone's looking at a car buying or online looking to purchase a car, on the bottom there'll be a banner that has a dealership name, things like that.
Somewhere on the photo, there's a banner somewhere around it.
And some dealers don't run them. It's a deal back and forth. If you need to do it, if you don't need to do it, whatever. But we had an advertising company that we were using, and it was $15,000 a month we were paying this company. And I was like, yeah, I need a banner for the lifted trucks I have on the custom side. I want one for our plain vehicles. Like, oh yeah, no problem. We'll get those done. Like, no, I'm like, these people aren't half bad.
We're paying them $15,000. Wow.
Yeah, I was like, they're on top of it. They get sent over. Takes them like a week to send them over. I get them. I merchandise all of our inventory. I get them all put on and everything. I was like, you know what? I think I want one for like SUVs and stuff, like family oriented. So I get another one sent over. I'm like, I'm just having them made like crazy. Then we get the bill. They're like, we just lose the camera over there.
Yep.
I'm sitting there. I'm like, just having these built out one after another. And I'm like, this is, I'm like, this is great. And then all of a sudden my dad gets the bill and he's like, why did we spend $20,000 this month with this agency? I was like, it's 15. And we get it, and there's all these plus for graphic builds. And they're like $1,000 a piece.
Of course.
I had like 5 of them total made. I was like, they never said shit about charging us for this.
Hey man, they had somebody spend a really solid hour.
I figured out how to make them, and I can make them in less than 30 minutes now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you know, they had to think about it. They had to figure out how they wanted to design it. They had to mock it up. They had to get it approved. It was probably an hour.
They didn't approve charging us for them.
No.
And they're like, in the contract, it states like if, and I call them, I get into it, like I'm getting my ass ripped at the dealership. So I call them.
He's like, I got my ass ripped. I'm calling someone to rip their ass.
So I call these people. I'm livid. And like, oh, in the contract, it states like any request or anything's additional charges. I was like, you guys are weasels.
Yeah.
And it was like that kind of stuff that I dealt with just vendors in general. Marketing vendors tended to be the worst. They were the highest ticket vendor that we had. And it was like, I don't know, I just didn't agree with how it was done.
Well, the thing is you don't have a choice, right? You're like, okay, I can't do this. I need somebody to do this for me.
Yeah.
They're going to charge you because they can.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you know, they're not a partner. They're just there to, you know, they're a vendor. That's how you look at it, right? Just a vendor.
Which that's been probably the hardest part about what we do for me,
mm-hmm.
is I really struggle when somebody looks at us like just a vendor.
Yep.
Because I have made partnerships with people that I care about their success way more than mine. And ours will come, but it's like the companies we work with, I want them to be successful. And it's like, that is the success story that I am trying to leave as a company, to where it's hard when people like, you're doing everything. Like we're never charging them for additional things. If they want extra stuff, I'm getting my laptop out at home at night, getting it done. Like, I'm not charging them for those things. And it's like going the extra mile. Then when somebody will like sit there, and that is the hardest. I have a love-hate relationship with the car business because we take on all these other clients, and it's like it becomes a partnership. And I'm getting texts that are like, we're beyond thankful that we cross paths with you guys. Like, love working with you guys. Your team's great. Like, all this stuff. And then dealers are like, that's what we pay you to do. And they're treating me like we're the guys out. Like,
yeah, I will say from the dealer side is you get nickel and dimed and everything, so they feel like, well, we're just gonna treat them like shit.
Exactly.
Right. And when I was on our product, we were a vendor. That's how they saw us, and like you said, I truly cared if our dealers were successful, because we weren't asking for a ton of money from them, but if they were selling more cars and when they were making more money, in essence, that was changing their employees' lives. That was changing their lives in a better way. And that was, worth more than the $6.99 a month that they were paying us. Right. But then you would just get these guys that would just treat you like absolute shit for no reason, just because they felt like they could.
Yeah. And luckily we've came to a spot in our company that I don't put up with that anymore. Like, if somebody's going to be like that, I don't want to work with them.
Absolutely not. Nope.
And we have a track record behind us now that it's like, we don't have to work with those people, but it just kind of sucks sometimes when you like, cause we've had it with accounts that work really, really well, that they just get up on their high horse, and then they can talk to us however they want, and they do that. And I'm just like, hey, we should probably part ways. Like, I open this to have fun and to make a life for these people that they can have fun and that we enjoy I feel like everyone enjoys going to work every day. We have music blaring in the office all the time. It's like a fun atmosphere. Like, that's what my vision was for the whole thing. My vision was never to have employees that had to go out and they're like, I hate going to talk to this one client because the guy's an asshole to me.
Right.
I'd just rather get rid of that asshole and then move on down the road. And
Absolutely.
Go find somebody that is grateful, because there's plenty of people out there that are very highly grateful for what we do.
Well, it takes, if people would just treat each other like people, right? As opposed to just, they're just here to make money. Right. And, we have customers that come to the dealership that do that. And I'm just like, well, you don't have to worry about buying a car from us. What do you mean you're not going to sell me a car? Nope. Well, you can't do that. I absolutely can. I absolutely can. I choose if we're going to sell you guys a car, and why? Well, sir, you're disrespecting our employees. You obviously aren't happy about being here. Why would you want to buy from us anyways? We're just people trying to earn a living and be successful for our families and and enrich their lives. And if that's how it worked with the vendor relationship, as opposed to being the vendor, like you said, working with clients that just you want to work with, and working with customers that we just want to work with, our lives would be a lot easier, a lot less stress.
Oh, way more.
Right?
I wish I would have had some sort of opportunity. I probably would have enjoyed the car business a lot more.
Oh, man.
Which there were certain vendors that I never even thought about. Like, we had PDR guys. I never even thought about that stuff.
Right.
We had a luxury that a lot of times people were like, you have a good PDR guy? I'm like, nope, don't know one. I'm like, because our guy said, he's like, I'm tapped out. I'm like, I'm not sending anybody else your way.
Right.
But it was like, our stuff was always done. He wasn't trying to nickel and dime us on cars. He's like, hey, this car had 3 extra dents on it. Just took care of them for you. Like, we still have a relationship with that guy to this day. We still send people his way. But it's like, we had a lot of vendors that were like that. But it was like, the biggest check that we signed every month was the worst vendor we had. And it was,
it's the same for us.
It was like marketing after marketing after marketing. And it was like, and we just kept chasing another one and another one and another one. And then it's like,
you just go in a cycle. Then at the end, you're like, maybe we should try the first one again.
Yeah, but
and then you get back on the ring.
There's only so many of them out there, right?
There's really not that many that just specialize in dealerships.
Of course, no.
And it's like the same few that you're messing with. And then it's like, then you have all the websites that are out there that like, you pay them a crazy amount of money every month. Like, I don't think a normal person on the street understands what dealerships pay for Cars Guru, Cars.com, True Car, Auto Trader. Like, Auto Trader, we're paying them $4,500 a month. And then they would like come in like, oh yeah, it was up to $6,000. And then it's like,
No, they'd be like, how are your sales? Oh, they're up. Yeah. So are your prices.
yeah. But then it's like, they just keep upping that on you. And then I'm like, hey, I don't think it works. And then like the next day you have like 6 leads from them. I'm like, did you just flip the switch on? And
or you tell them it doesn't work, and then they bring in the heavy hitters.
yeah.
Oh yeah, no, you need to stay on. Well, why? Because you might as well close.
Yeah, you're not going to make it without Auto Trader.
Right. You might as well close. Well, I think we're going to give it a shot. Right. But there's no product out there, especially automotive wise, that's turnkey, that is perfect.
No.
There just isn't. Right. So, you try something and it works, then it doesn't. Then you try something else and it works and it doesn't. It's a cyclical thing. And like you said, Dre, it's like you go back to the same companies because you've cycled through them and you're like, well, I mean, they're fine.
I'm going to take the least of evils out of all of them.
That's right.
That's 100%.
That's right. At least I know these guys are going to be, as mediocre as everybody else, but at least I like them.
Yeah, I just like them a little bit more.
A little bit better.
Yeah.
They bring in donuts, I guess, every once in a while. But it's such a weird, difficult industry to deal with these marketing companies and these vendors, especially on the dealer side, and especially on your side. And, the customers just don't make it easy. And it's just getting back to where the fun aspect of it, right? Mm-hmm. Being able to sell a car to somebody who's appreciative, being able to pick up a client that is like, wow, we are actually doing better because of you guys, because of some of the things that you have done. You're not the only reason that they're successful, but because you're just, adding to that pot. There's nothing more fulfilling than that.
Yeah.
Nothing. And that's the one thing that I would say that I miss about my company, was being able to work with these dealers and actually have conversations with them. Like, I knew that there was dealers that would just use our software. I think your dad was probably one of them, just so that we could talk every month. Right.
Oh no, my dad very much enjoyed when you came in all the time.
But just so you could have that, we weren't very expensive. So it wasn't that much money, wasn't that much of an investment, but being able to have that connection and talk with, with those clients of ours, with those partners of ours and those dealers, and helping them see more about, what they can do with their business was fun.
And I think also that's a lot of, like, Dre and I, we understand the car business a lot. And where I've found a lot of joy too is where we take on these, I'm going to say middle-sized dealers that they don't have all the banks. And we have a lot of relationship with banks and reps all over Kansas City and surrounding areas, all over the country, that we had at the dealership, that when Dre was running F&I, like, he became really good friends with the reps that he had, and the reps that came into the dealership, they very much liked us. We've stayed in contact with those guys. So it's like, we have banks that we're looking at the back end points that they're making. We're elevating that. We're like, hey, you're going to make more money off this one thing we implement than what your marketing is going to cost, like, easy.
Sure.
I'm like, it's about to be free. I'm like, you do this one thing. I'm like, you're going to have free marketing, and after 2 months, you're covered for the year.
But it's like,
and I'm like, and you can double it, and we can sell more cars. And he's like, no. I'm like, I'm not saying it because it's too good to be true. I'm like, and I literally go over all their numbers. I'm like, these are like average numbers of what we'd run at this many units sold. And I'm like, just basing off your numbers, off your finance and all this, I'm like, this is probably where you're at, right? He's like, within about $1,000.
Yeah, but you're asking them to do something different.
But the thing is they're actually receptive to be like, they actually want to make more money.
Well, they all do, but it's change.
I think some are willing to change for the better if they've seen someone do it and it worked for them.
Somebody else does it first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or they just don't know, because a lot of these places just don't know.
Sure. And that's, I think, in that like middle size, you'd be crazy. Like, it's crazy to know how many like smaller dealerships, they have no earthly idea how the bigger dealership game runs. Like, they don't understand the finance side. Like, that's why big dealerships really have the power they have.
Oh, sure.
Is the banking side. They can get more people financed. They can get more stuff done. They have more pull with banks. Like, I sit in dealerships that we currently work with on deals that Dre and I never would have been able to get done in under God's green earth, there wasn't a chance. And they're like, oh yeah, just call so-and-so. He'll waive all that. Like,
no, well, we're a big group, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm part of a big group. Our store is part of a big group in the city, and we're on all of the bank's super Uber pilot programs.
oh yeah. So it's like, that's a lot of horsepower to have behind you
Absolutely.
when people are coming in that it was hard too. And now I see a lot of times where people were like, yeah, I got done over here. I'm like, there's no way. And it's like, all it took was that person has 50 favors a week that they can use, and you were one of them.
What bank did you use? We have them.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Hey, why is mine not say approved over here?
But I think that's what people misunderstand is dealers can get better deals at banks than you can get at a bank. And I think people don't understand, like a local bank here, it's like you go there, yeah, you're declined. And then you go to the dealership that, yeah, you're approved through the same bank. It's like,
That's because they're hanging all that paper with them all the time.
Right.
Like,
like,
they're
hey,
buying the dealership's portfolio, not just that car deal.
Correct.
yeah.
And that's where it's like, you guys have 13 stores. Like that portfolio is monstrous. Like, whoever,
It's pretty easy.
yeah.
Hey, why aren't you buying this deal? Do I need to make a call?
Please don't call my higher power.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll buy it.
Yeah, we'll take it. That's
Yeah.
fine. Can you waive the fee? Yep, taken care of.
Yep.
No
All
problem.
good.
What?
Yeah, that's right.
It's already gone.
Anything else
What
you-
fee are you talking about?
I'll send you some chocolates while I'm at it.
That's right. That's right.
No, but I think there's just different levels of car business run completely different. And I like working with the big stores when people are open-minded, but it's also, we're getting to learn more when we're in those stores also. And it's having that knowledge base there gets us where we can help out the smaller stores more
Sure.
to elevate what they're doing. It's like, it works for everyone.
Well, you can help them become the middle-sized store.
Yeah.
And then help them become the big, the larger store.
Yeah.
By helping them understand, like, okay, here's what these bigger stores are doing. You can still do it. You just do it at a smaller scale and grow it to that level of being able to get to that point. Like you said, pick a bank that is going to be your big store bank, where they can use that relationship with them, and you being able to help them set it up is such a huge deal for them.
Yeah. And it's also a lot of just those fine details that people miss that some dealers are great at, some dealers are terrible at it. Like I have a buddy that has a dealership that runs probably the cleanest operation of any dealer I know. And he does really well. He doesn't sell a crazy amount of cars. Every car is clean as they come. Like he has a guy that, like, if they open all the doors, if there's a speck of dirt on there, they get vacuums out. They're like, you're not going to roll onto a lot and find a cleaner car. But it's like, he's like, every one of those cars is 100% ready for somebody to come look at it at any given point in time. And it's those like fine things that he does just makes the difference.
Sure, of course.
When somebody comes to pick up a new car, and dealers get kind of just stuck in a tunnel vision because they're dealing with cars, and you don't look at cars the same. Like I stopped looking at cars the same. I'm like, they're just metal, and it's just a number on a spreadsheet.
It's not exciting anymore.
It gets to where like you're looking at Enterprise's list they send over every week, and you're like, there's so many cars, and you're just like, yeah, I'll take that one. I'll take that one. You don't even have pictures of them.
You don't even look at the color.
No, you don't even look at the color, nothing. You're like, oh, that, okay.
Yeah.
Clean Trade's this, MMR's this. I'm like, this is the miles. I'm like, I'll take that.
It's purple. It'll sell.
Yeah. I highlight like 5 of them, and I'm just like, send them.
Yeah.
And so you're just having these cars show up that you've never even seen. And you're spending, I'm going to say a number that probably way lower than anything Adam's spending. Like we're spending $250,000, $300,000 on cars, and they're just rolling in, and you're like, having looked at half of them. And it's just spreadsheet numbers that turns into like on volume. And sometimes those smaller dealer guys do such a great job at keeping an eye on everything that vehicle may have just been a number on a spreadsheet for us, but that's somebody else's first car they may ever buy.
Sure.
And they're coming in and it's dirty from Enterprise, and you're like tossing the keys to a sales guy. You're like, yeah, go show it. Like whatever. Just got
off the truck. I
Yeah.
haven't even seen it myself.
Yeah. I don't know.
No, we're selling cars that aren't even done in service yet. Right.
Yeah.
So like, oh no, we want to look at this vehicle. Well, it's still up on the rack and doesn't have tires on it. Well, that's fine.
I don't need tires. Tires are overrated.
Well, you can't drive it. That's okay. But I feel terrible. I'm like, no, like let us finish. Like at least let us detail, the French fries out of the back seat, from the trade in, or, you know, it's missing a door handle because the rental car company just didn't care to fix it.
Yeah.
You know, just comes in. It's like, why is that a different color? That's what we had.
Great question.
It's
I haven't
getting
seen pictures of it.
That's right.
It's getting painted next week. I don't know
Yeah,
what to tell you.
that's right.
Yeah. But crazy space it's turned into now. Because
It's still fun, man. I mean, I still have fun going in every day, you know, because it's always different. The people that I work with are phenomenal human beings. You know, we've changed kind of the culture at our store. We've changed how we treat people and how we do business. And, you know, I haven't been there, you know, terribly long. But I mean, you know how I am, and it's just fun seeing everybody succeed now, you know, and allowing them to have the fulfillment in their lives that they deserve, and being able to come to work and they feel like they finally have a purpose. And I'm not saying it's because of me. It's just because of being able to understand that, like, you know what, a dealership doesn't have to run like an old time dealership anymore. You can actually be people. You can actually do the right thing. You can actually have people that want to come buy from you. You don't have to be the cheapest price, because we're not, you know, I mean, we just aren't. We don't have to be. But it can be so much better. And, you know, even just looking at, you know, the customers that are coming in now our customer service or customer satisfaction index levels are phenomenal, you know, and people are finally happy, which is great. And I think that's what, you know, when I come and see you guys at your office, that's the culture that is there. And I think a lot of your clients and a lot of the clients that you guys are going after, it's something that if they felt, I think would be even better. You know what I mean? Like, if they could see kind of how it was at how you run your company and how you guys are at your office, how inviting you are, how easy it is just to kind of be there, it would be huge for them, you know. Yeah. And if I can, you know, just give you that advice from right now, I mean, that's the one thing that, you know, I took from the last time we were there. You know, I won't get into too much, but it was my birthday and you guys got me a cake and everything.
Hey, I don't like to forget people's birthdays.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it was just great. And I think if, you know, if a lot of the companies that were out there, a lot of the so-called, you know, quote unquote vendors actually opened up and were real with their clients, like you guys are, and all that kind of stuff, it would be just a better deal. Everything would be better. People would be happier. Things would be, it'd be a lot more fun to work, right? I mean, even if you were working your 9 to 5 and that's what you wanted to do and you're comfortable with it, but you're still, you know, you're going to deal with these outside vendors and outside companies. If you could be with those people and just elevate that little bit of your time and of your life, it's worth it. You know, even my coworker who came with us that day. I mean, she still talks about, she's like, man, that was really, really cool. She's like, can I go work there? I'm like, no, you work here. You work here. But, you know, it's those kind of things that I think a lot of these companies are missing out on, and what we're trying to do at our store, just to be inviting. So when people come into our space and come into our store and want to buy a vehicle from us, because it's not the easiest thing to do. I mean, you're spending a lot of money. It's a big purchase. We want them to feel like how I feel when I walk into your office. Like, just good, exciting, fun.
I think culture building in business in general is
lost art, man. It's a lost art.
I think it's something that so much goes into it every single day that it's something that, like, it's on the forefront of my thinking every single day when I go in the office. Like, I think about my attitude. I check my attitude at the door every day when I'm getting out of my truck and I'm walking up to the office. I'm like, I have to be at the highest energy level, ready to roll for everyone here. No matter what's going on in my life, like, I have to come in at that level. And it's, everyone at the office knows me really well, but it's like any client we have, like, no one would ever know if I ever had a personal issue in my life.
Right.
But it's like, I look at that culture like that you build, and like, I know I follow a lot of entrepreneurs in different spaces that I very highly respect on the culture that they've built and the following of the way their companies run, that it makes it so where you can build from the top all the way down and build it with the right people, because the right people want to follow into culture. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the correct people don't follow into just any Joe Schmo and what we're doing in today's world. If you want top tier talent, you have to have something different.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Top tier talent can go chase money all day long, but that's not what holds top tier talent. That I've seen amazing guys in the car business go do other things because they were offered a different lifestyle. They were offered something more promising for a future. To where it's like, I look at just like a culture as a whole, and I've seen it done in the dealership space, but it hasn't been done in Kansas City yet. And it's like, I feel like you guys are like kind of honing the way to, we've even had discussions about some of the dealership groups that are doing it. You guys have talked about things that are going to happen with your store and different things like that, but it's coming. And the thing is, when somebody does that, they're going to cripple the rest of the space quickly.
Well, you're going to get the best talent. You're going to get the best people they want to work there.
Exactly.
Right. And, you know, we as a whole group are trying to figure that deal out. Like, how do we get the best people to come to us? And it's like, well, we've realized that we have to have a place that people want to come to work. Right. And so people talk and, hey, I'm working here and I love it. Like, wait, you love working at a car dealership? Oh, I love it. Right. Well, yeah, I was there till 8:30. You were? Yeah. Why? Because we were there and we were working and we were having fun. And it's just, you know, when you're just like you guys, when you're doing stuff and you're filming after hours and you're working on a Sunday and you're working on, you know, taking care of a podcast after you get home. And it's because you want to do it. And it's because of the team that you've built underneath, but it's not so much underneath. It's being that leader and that person setting the tone and saying, I'm going to be the one that you guys can rely on to do as much, if not more, as you guys are doing. So that way that we can all accomplish these things together. And you're 100% right. There's so many dealerships in town that, you know, you've met with, that I've dealt with, that is just, you know, the leaders are going to, you know, yell at you. You need to be here on your day off. You know, if you're not working, you know, bell to bell every day, then you guys aren't doing what you're supposed to be doing. You know, I took today off. It's my day off. Why? Because you need to take your day off. I don't need to be at the dealership every day. And if you have the right people working for you, you don't need to be at the dealership every day. You know, take your day off, spend it with your family, unwind and decompress, because it's a grind. But I can tell you this, the people that are at our store want to stay at our store. They don't want to go anywhere else because they know that they've worked for other people. It's like, you got to be there. And you're just, you know, you're the same way. You're grinding just as hard as everybody else. But at the same time, you guys go on vacation together, right? Like, you have dinner together. You do stuff as a group together to get away from the grind every day. And you're absolutely right. If businesses, if the companies that really want to be truly successful, especially here in Kansas City, if they can adopt that philosophy, if they can really look at themselves in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm going to set a tone for my company, for my employees, that they're going to feel fulfilled being here every day, that they're going to want to be here every day, and that I'm going to be the one that is leading that for them. You're going to be successful. No matter what, whatever business you're in, you're going to be successful because you're going to have 100, you know, all your employees, however many employees is, we have over 100 people at our store, but you're going to have, you know, as many employees as you have right behind you, pushing you as far as you can go, all rowing in the same direction. You're going to win. You're going to win. You will beat your competition. And that's the direction we're going in. That's what we're focusing on. That's how we're going to be better than everybody else. Just with that goal in mind, you know, that's what we're going to do. And that's why you guys are going to be successful, because, you know, you guys feel it. I mean, you guys are there. I mean, you know, you've worked, I mean, Dre, you've worked with them for a long time, but I mean, you guys have all worked together. it's just a different deal, right? And you come to work and it's fun. And you get to talk to fun people like me, right? Sometimes is that a good thing?
Like,
I don't know. I don't know.
That's the best part.
That's the best part, right? But no, I mean, you guys get to do a bunch of different things and have a true joy at your job, right? And all hands are on deck no matter what. And you find your roles and you figure out what's going to be best for you. And, you know, if you need to film, Dre, you'll film, right?
I mean, I haven't Dre film.
No?
Dre's not.
He would, though.
He would.
He definitely would.
I remember
He
Dre.
would.
Hey, I remember Dre coming out in
He can
the
do
cold.
a lot of photos of cars. He's
did
baller at that.
Photos at our store. I remember he'd be there every other day,
Yep.
right? It would be like 0 degrees out. Like, hey, can I photo inside? No.
No, you cannot.
No, you cannot. And
Great news. We shoveled it back for you.
we did.
Trey did not like doing that.
No, but I mean, you did it because you believed in what was going on, right?
I did that for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, about a year and a half. And I had a job offer during that time for a lot of money.
Right.
And I looked at Dane. I'm like, dude, I am out taking photos of cars and it is 6 degrees out.
And I told him, I looked at him at that point. I go, 100%, if you want to take that job offer, there will be no ill will my way. I go, anything that anyone ever wants to do to better their lives, I will never fault someone for.
Absolutely.
And I will never get upset with them. And it was like, I told him at that point, I'm like, and we're blood and we're running this together. But I told him at that point, we didn't really know how to market. Like we were figuring out that side. And I'm like, this is the only thing that's like cash flowing us to figure it out.
Photos.
I'm like,
Dane's like, we can hire 2 people. What you're doing still helps pay for them. And I'm looking at the numbers. I'm like, I know what I'm making daily every time I go out and photo. I'm like, this alone pays for everyone to be here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
everything else, I'm like, right now we're just kind of running the negative, but this is a cash flow. And I knew it was a cash flow, but it sucked.
yeah, we were taking
Still suck.
We were taking on
Still
cheap
6
accounts
degrees.
that we were losing money on. And in the beginning, everyone thought I was like, they're like, oh, they're taking on all these accounts. I'm like, yeah, we were super cheap. I needed portfolio builders. But it was like, we were running all these photo accounts that Dre and I had another guy that 2 of them were running photos everywhere. And people didn't realize like, I didn't market that. We didn't put that out in the world. Like no one really knew that was even happening. We were a marketing company and that's what we did. But we were doing these photos like behind the scenes. And I told Dre, I was like, we're going to figure out the marketing side to get it going. Like, but we need this done. I was like, after we figure out the marketing side, we can get some accounts on that and we can sell them for like real money. Then we'll ditch this side. Towards like from the outside, it was all sunshine and rainbows to everyone. They didn't see what it actually took to get this thing off the ground.
No, man, what he did. Whew.
Yeah. And the thing was, I knew like if he went somewhere, I was like, I can't hire somebody to do that. I'm like, no. But
That job sucked.
the other problem too was we were merchandising cars,
Right.
which the 2 people that were doing it had both been in the car business at a high level. To where I'm like,
I would go talk to people at a tower. I knew more about the system they're using than they did. And I would sit there at hop behind and I'd come behind the tower, I'd fix it for them. I'm like, all right, there you go. They're like, you know how to use this? I'm like, yeah, I used it for like 3 years. I'm like, I know it inside and out.
But you take our pictures.
Dre and I,
They're like,
I came
so
up,
what'd you do? I'm
I
like,
came up invoicing one day with Dre, and Dre was out photoing cars. And we were at one of the largest dealerships in Kansas City. And the GM fires 2 of the 3 tower managers. And
while
like,
we're there.
While we're there. So these people are gone. We're out photoing cars. We come back in. The other tower manager's like, hey, I have to go pick up my kids. Can you guys watch the tower? Dre and I, the photo guys, are sitting at the tower. And then we have people coming up. And I'm like, I literally text him like, hey, man, do you want me to like bid the trades that are coming in? You have 4 trades sitting here. He's like, yeah, sure, man. So I'm like sitting there bidding out trades, putting bid sheets together. And I end up getting 2 of the trucks that were there. I went out, I talked to the guy. I'm in a Carhartt coat, jeans, cowboy boots. And I go out and I shake the guy's hand. I start telling him about his truck, why it's worth what it is. The sales guy can't close it. I close out 2 truck deals that they're getting on trade. And then the guy comes back. I was like, hey, you got both those trucks. They're great trucks. I was like, I got them $4,000 back, MMR, blah, blah. He's like, and then the next day, Dre was offered a finance job. And then I was offered a tower job. And I'm like, I'm not having it. I told Dre, I was like, if you want it, go for it. Like,
I don't know. The finance job they offered was pretty stout.
yeah. But it's one of those things that pulls you right back into where you were. And it was, there was a different vision that we had. And that vision's come into reality. And like,
Right.
It's still nowhere close to where it's supposed to be. But we're going on the.
I'm not photoing anymore, so
Yeah.
that's a. And then we actually started doing like shorter videos for vehicles.
Yep, I remember that.
I was out with Ricky. I'm sitting there, I'm like, we're back.
I'm back doing the same thing I was. So yeah, there's definitely been a lot of evolutions of what we do, but I think that's part of adapting and growing and figuring out exactly what it's supposed to look like. That no one comes out of the gate with the perfect plan, perfect idea. And the marketing space is probably the hardest space to be in. And the hardest space to market is the automotive space, bar none.
Well, it's changing
So
every week.
the automotive space is the only space that if you have a $1 million house hit the market, your audience tends to be pretty similar that's buying the $1 million house.
Absolutely.
If you are selling pretty much anything, like you name it, like your audience is, if you have a women's boutique,
Mhm.
people are probably within a certain area of that are shopping there. They probably have a certain demographic based on the items that they carry. They probably have a certain demographic of financial status based on how much their items cost, things like that. You can figure out who that audience is pretty fast. Go to a car dealership. If you have an $80,000 truck sitting there, that audience is this person. If you have a $10,000 Civic sitting next to it, that audience is this person.
Mhm.
Every single car has a different audience.
Right.
You have a third row vehicle, the audience looks a lot different than the Civic. It's probably a family vehicle. It's probably a mom that has some kids. The audience has changed so fast.
Well, then you start looking at brands. It's like, I got this brand that's
Yeah.
third row.
Well, that's
or
why it
this-
changes every week.
Yeah.
You get new cars every week. It's different.
So it's like,
And it going from him just talking about 5 vehicles to 300 to 500 in inventory.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. All these have different people we're going after.
Well, and the crazy thing is how many people are going to buy that one car? One,
yeah.
Mhm.
right? So you got to find that one. Where is that person?
It's all hay, and you're just looking for all the little.
So it's
needles in
like
the haystack.
every automotive marketing company shops or runs social media style marketing the same. They pull these generic carousels with just random inventory in it. That you're going to have the third row SUV that's $50,000. You're going to have the $10,000 Civic. You're going to have the $80,000 truck. You're going to have the most randomized group of vehicles. And then the audience they pick is just anyone that's been on Auto Trader and
Right.
Cars Guru in the last 60 days. To where it's like,
or the most densely populated area in Kansas City.
but it's just like, that's what they do. And I don't believe in that style of marketing. Like,
No, it's
It-
terrible.
and they all do the same thing and they all get shitty results. And then it's all like, well, this is why we try to get them in a 12-month contract.
Well, it's they come and say, well, we sent 1,000 people to your website. Okay. What did they do? Well, I don't know. Well, did any of those 1,000 people buy a car? I don't know. Okay. So what would you say you did? Well, we sent people to your website. How did you do that? Well, we had these vehicles and, they were up there and they were priced and we think people saw them. Okay. But did we sell any cars? Was there a lift? Could we feel it? Could we tell that there were more people coming to our store? Did we sell the ones that you actually advertised?
If they had photos, none irritates me more than when you get on there and they upload stock photos that a dealer is paying money to market a stock photo, not even a stock photo. It says photo not available.
Right.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like,
That's an ad.
Coming
Oh.
soon.
yeah, I'm just like, someone paid money. That's running for a week or two.
Oh my
Yes,
God.
that
I'm glad they
was-
have a 2017 Focus coming soon.
I wonder what it looks like.
Oh, the anticipation's
Let me go
crazy.
Let me travel to the website.
Stock
to go
photo
check
says
it
it's black.
Yeah. Oh, their color on their website says it's green.
Guess we'll have to go see.
No, but like,
It's the worst. It's just, and there's none of these companies do anything different.
In
Like they
fact,
all come in, they're like, "Oh, we're going to send a lot of people to your website." Oh yeah, how? Well, we're going to run these ads on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, cool. Well, those guys do it too. Oh, we do it differently. Well, how? Do you have a different audience? Well, no. No, we use the audiences that Facebook creates, and we don't think about it, and we're going to target demographic.
Facebook knows the audience better than we do.
Right?
Okay?
Yeah.
I think what's gonna win the car space now, and we're already seeing it happen with certain dealers we have, that people become famous and somebody wants to buy from a person.
100%.
Like we are starting to take like individuals and blow them up on social platforms that somebody is now like, when I buy my next vehicle, they don't care where that person works, but that's who they want to buy from.
Right.
And it's like, look at an F-150. If you want to buy a new F-150, how many F-150s are for sale in Kansas City?
3.
No, they're like
3,000.
Yeah, probably on the low side.
I was close.
Right.
But it's like you look at a new GMC truck. I had opportunities to buy the same truck from a lot of people. Every time I bought my truck, I bought it through you.
Well, thanks, buddy.
No, but it was like I didn't really care to buy it. Like I could get the same deal from. I have other dealers I know that own stores that could offer me the same deal, but it's like no, I trusted to buy through you. To where it's like you left that store, I'm going to buy through you where you're at now.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean I'm driving a Honda Ridgeline, but
Come on,
Civic.
man. They're cool.
Yeah, but it's something that like the car space is going to that. And you see these like great sales guys that have became like social media famous and now have these huge networks of people buying from. We're seeing it happen in the motorcycle space. We're seeing it happen in the car space. It's happening in the boat space. Like I had a guy reach out to me today that works for a huge trucking company that their whole marketing strategy over the whole entire group now is marketing strategies around each individual person. Like they have cartoons made of these people. They have their platforms. They are giving all marketing efforts to blow up these actual individuals. And these individuals are going viral. And it's like, it's because the people are following them. Now it's not like, well, I'm going to get on 1 week and they're going to show me the rebates that they have on a new Explorer. Like, I don't really care.
Oh, I can get a $5,000 off here and there and there and there and there. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like why would it matter? But if you're absolutely right. And that's what we're starting to do at our store as well, with your guys' help is to create the personality, because, our guy Zach is going to appeal to different people, and our gal Bria is going to, go up against other people, right? She's going to appeal to other people. So how do we create those different, characters, personalities, right? Where, our customer wants to buy from Bria because she's a female and she, is into, rescuing dogs and, worked at the Casey Pet Project and all those things. And then you have Zach, who is, huge Kansas City Royals fan and is extremely charismatic and exciting. And you're like, man, he just makes me feel just like fun, being there. And everyone's going to be different. If you can set yourself apart that way, that is without question going to be the new way of selling, because all the cars are the same.
They are.
They're all priced the same. We all own them for the same amount of money. Our Honda Accord is not any more expensive than the other guys. We own it for the same price, the exact same price. And it's at any other store is going to be that way. And if these other dealers, don't figure this aspect out, they're going to be left behind, because you can be the cheapest guy in the market and 15% of the customers are going to come to you because you're the cheapest guy. Great. I don't want those people. I want the people that are going to be raving fans of ours, right? That are going to be excited to come to our store, that understand that we're going to give them a great value, that the price of the vehicle is going to be just as competitive as the next guy. But they want to come in and see Zach because they know that the experience they're going to get from him is going to be way better than...
They're also going to know Zach is a real person.
Exactly.
Right now, that in so many industries, everyone is like some smoke show behind a curtain. Like, I always look at it as like, I'm over the top on like Walt Disney and like what they've done. Mm-hmm. And like thinking about that on such a huge scale is like hard to fathom, but it's like Walt Disney went bankrupt trying to figure it out. Like his first actual character that took off got taken from him.
Yeah.
he created Mickey Mouse on a train ride back home. And it's like Walt Disney's built on characters.
Right.
The most impressive marketing play in the country was built on characters. McDonald's was built on Ronald McDonald. Like, you look at all these huge marketing plays that worked over time, they're built on individuals. Like, Progressive is built on Flo. State Farm is built on Jake. Like, people take the biggest powerhouses in marketing everywhere, and they have a face to them. But then it's like, you put all these super smart marketing people in a room, and they can't figure that out.
Well, I think, part of it too is even these these middle businesses that, middle-sized businesses, small businesses, they don't think that they can do it, right? Like, you say Disney and you say McDonald's and State Farm, and they have all of these, all of this money to throw at it and all that kind of stuff. And these smaller companies, they can do it. Like, it's not as daunting of a task as they think. And helping them understand that there's an opportunity for them to be that person, because it's a person. Just be a person, right? And tell them your why and why are you doing what you're doing, whether you're, like you said, a ladies boutique, or, if you're a dentist, or if you're, a psychologist, or whatever you do, whatever it is, you're any industry, just be that person and let your clients, the people that you want to work with, know who you are. And it's not as difficult as you think. It really isn't. It's difficult to start, right? Yeah. Because a lot of people are afraid to either be on camera or be vulnerable or be open, or, any of those things that they actually need to be to, be the face of their company. But it's like, I tell other people, I'm like, are you a small business owner? Yeah. Well, tough shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you have to do. That's what you have to do to set yourself apart. And if you want to be successful, without question.
Yeah. Coming towards the end of every podcast, I think that if we didn't watch time, we'd go on just for hours and hours and hours.
Ricky's like, batteries don't last for hours and hours.
I think one of them actually overheated. The garage feels a lot better than it used to, but it's in a stale corner back there.
But I always ask people what you would tell, if you had one word of advice for your 20-year-old self, what would you tell yourself?
Have fun. I think it's just a job. No matter what, if you can find something that you truly, truly have fun with, it doesn't become a job. I've had fun at not everything that I've done, but a couple of the different endeavors that I've gone on, and if you can have fun doing what you're doing, then it's just awesome. It's just awesome. Everything else becomes great. Your personal life, your outside of business, whatever it is so much better if you can just have fun at what you're doing.
I think that's huge. I think life is very short, and I think a lot of times people take for granted time. Mm-hmm. And that is by far the most valuable thing we all have. And anybody that has a lot of money would always spend it to buy their time back. To where I think a lot of us don't have fun just day over day on everything.
Right.
If that is, you don't have fun with the person that you are with, if that is the job that you are in, if that is the friends that you are with, whatever it is, like, I think having fun and just enjoying yourself is probably one of the most important things that you can do. And if that's having fun and you don't make a lot of money, you probably live a much more successful life than somebody that has a lot of money that isn't having a lot of fun.
That's right.
So I like that a lot. Very, very much appreciate you coming on.
My pleasure, man. I was happy to be here.
I like how in the beginning you're like, what are we going over? And I'm like, if we just start talking, it's going to be
Hey, man, so, you never know.
Yeah. We could have just sat here in silence the whole time. But any final thoughts from Dre, Ricky?
Nope.
I thought that was great.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
So that is the M3 podcast. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.